Everyone warned me about them. I didn't listen. I thought warnings were just noise. Jealousy dressed up as concern. People loved to tear down the builders. And Marcus? Marcus was a builder. He wore Patagonia vests like armor. He drove a 10-year-old Subaru. He ate lunch at his desk, usually a sad salad, and talked about overhead ratios and logistical friction with the fervor of a priest. He didn't look like a thief. Thieves wear suits. Thieves have slick hair and offshore accounts. Marcus had calloused hands from loading pallets in Haiti. He had a photo of a little girl in a refugee camp taped to his monitor. My why, he'd say, tapping the glass. Her name is Amina. She's why I wake up at 4 a.m. I fell for the why. Hook, line, and sinker. I was 26. Bright-eyed. Stupid. I had a master's in nonprofit management and 0 street smarts. I wanted to matter. I didn't want a career, I wanted a calling. Marcus handed me one on a silver platter. Global Horizon Relief. GHR. The name sounded like sunrise. It felt like salvation. The first year was magic. Pure, unadulterated magic. We moved fast. Bureaucracy kills, Marcus preached. Speed saves. When the floods hit Bangladesh, we were there in 36 hours. Not the Red Cross. Not USAID. Us, we didn't wait for memos. We chartered planes. We bought trucks. We slept in mud. I remember the smell, wet rot, diesel, and hope. I remember the weight of a rice sack on my shoulder. I remember Amina's photo on Marcus's monitor, and I felt big. I felt like I was finally the person I pretended to be on Instagram. Marcus made me his right hand. You have the stomach for the ugly side, he said. Most don't. He gave me the keys to the kingdom. The vendor contracts. The wire transfer codes. The rapid response fund, the black box account for when governments move too slow. Keep it tight, he whispered, leaning into my cubicle late one night. The auditors hate this account. But it's how we beat the clock. It's how we save Amina. I believed him. God help me, I believed him like scripture. The cracks didn't look like cracks. They looked like growth. Operational costs are spiking, the CFO, a nervous woman named Elena, said in a quarterly review. The rapid response drawdowns are aggressive. Marcus laughed. A big, booming, infectious laugh. Elena, you count beans. I feed mouths. You want a 3% overhead ratio? Go work for the UN. I'll take 12% overhead and 1,000 living kids over 3% and 1,000 dead ones any day. The room applauded. I applauded loudest. I stopped looking at the invoices. I stopped reconciling the vendor lists. Why would I? We were winning. We were the darlings of the donor circuit. High impact. Low bullshit. That was the tagline. I wrote it. Then came the earthquake. Turkey. Syria. February. The cold that kills faster than the rubble. We raised 40 million in 10 days. 40 million. My fingers shook typing the striped dashboard. $40 million. Enough to build cities. Enough to warm every freezing hand. Marcus called an emergency board meeting. Not on Zoom. In person. His lake house. Strategy session, he texted. Bring the laptop. Bring the whiskey. Leave the conscience at the door. That text should have been the tombstone. I laughed. I packed the laptop. I drove the 3 hours humming the mission statement. The lake house was obscene. 5,000 square feet. Heated floors. A wine cellar that cost more than our Bangladesh field hospital. I stood in the foyer, my wet boots on Persian rugs, and the cognitive dissonance was a physical blow. It winded me. "Relax, kid," Marcus said, handing me a glass of something amber and 50 years old. Equity partner perk. The board signed off on the executive retention package last year. Deferred comp perfectly legal. Legal. That word. That slippery, slimy word. We went down to the basement. Not a wine cellar. A war room. Screens everywhere. Real-time banking feeds. Shell company flowcharts. A map of the world with red pins in every disaster zone from the last decade. "Sit," he said. I sat. The leather was cold. 40 million, he said. Came in hot. Beautiful. But. He swiped a screen. The Turkish government requires local partners. Vetted. Licensed. Takes 6 months. 6 months, the survivors are corpses. So we use the Rapid Response Fund, I said. Direct cash transfers. We vetted the local NGOs last year. Ali in Gaziantep. Fatima in Adiyaman. We wire it tomorrow. Marcus shook his head. Slow. Sad. Ali and Fatima, they take 15% for security. 10% for logistics. By the time a blanket hits a kid, your dollar is worth 40 cents. So we negotiate. We audit. We own the supply chain, he cut in. That's the innovation. That's the horizon in Global Horizon. He pulled up a spreadsheet. Rows of companies. Asterisk Apex Logistics LLC. Meridian Shelter Systems. Vertex Procurement Group, asterisk look familiar, he asked. I stared. The addresses. Delaware. Wyoming. Nevada. Registered agents. No websites. No employees. Marcus. My voice cracked. These are us. Smart money, he said. Vertical integration. We are the vendor. Apex buys the tents from a factory in China for $12. Bills GHR $85. Meridian ships them. Bills GHR $200 freight. Vertex handles customs. Bills GHR expediting fees. The spread, I whispered. The spread is millions. Per shipment, he corrected. And we do 50 shipments a year. Earthquakes. Floods. Famine. War. The suffering is the inventory. The donors are the revenue stream. The Rapid Response Fund is just the laundry machine. The whiskey turned to acid in my stomach. The auditors. The 990s. The Elena, he said. Sweet Elena. She sees the consolidated financials. She sees program expenses, $38 million. She doesn't see the intercompany eliminations. She sees the tents arrive. She doesn't see the invoice trail stopping in the Caymans. We pay a top 4 firm 7 figures to sign off on material accuracy. Material accuracy is a joke. It's an opinion. Not a fact. He leaned forward. The light caught the greed in his eyes, cold, blue, calculating. You're the operations director now. You sign the purchase orders. You approve the wires. You're the firewall. If the IRS comes knocking, you're the one who exercised due diligence. You're the fall guy. But. He smiled. If you play ball? You're the heir apparent. 5% of the holdco. Tax-free. Forever. 5%. Generational wealth. Blood money. Amina, I said. The word scraped my throat raw. The girl. On your monitor. Marcus's face didn't flicker. Stock photo. Shutterstock. Sad refugee girl. $12. Best ROI I ever spent. The room spun. The screens blurred. The map with the red pins, every pin was a crime scene. Every disaster, a payday. Haiti. Yemen. Ukraine. Maui. We didn't save them. We harvested them. I thought of the volunteers. The kids sleeping in tents we sold to ourselves at a 600% markup. I thought of the donors, teachers, nurses, grandmas sending $25, $50, their grocery money, buying Marcus a lake house. You're a monster, I said. Quiet. Flat. I'm an optimizer, he corrected. The system is broken. I just hacked it. You want to save the world? Takes capital. This is the capital. He slid a contract across the table. Sign the NDA. Sign the vendor approvals for the turkey load. The tents are landing in Istanbul Friday. We clear 3 million net by Monday. Your first quarterly distribution. I looked at the pen. Mont Blanc. Heavy. I looked at Marcus. My mentor. My friend. The architect of my purpose. I picked up the pen. My hand didn't shake. I signed the NDA. I signed the purchase orders. I approved the wire to Apex Logistics. $4.2 million. Click. Sent. Marcus beamed. Knew you had the stomach. Drink up. We celebrate. I drank the whiskey. It burned clean. Clarifying. I drove home at 3 a.m. I didn't go to my apartment. I drove to a 24-hour print shop in a strip mall off I-95. I printed everything. The Shell Company docs. The Delaware registrations. The wire confirmations. The email chain where Marcus joked about feeding the pigs SS, slop, donor funds. The spreadsheet with the Amina line item, stock photo $12, I printed the 990s. I printed Elena's ignored warning emails. Subscribe to Betrayal and Revenge for more unbelievable stories of betrayal and karma.